Anuvaka number 7, mantra number 4 is to be taken up. Namo Nishangine cha Ishudhimate cha. Actually, we have already seen the meaning of this mantra in Anuvaka number 3, mantra number 3, where he was extolled in connection with robbery, theft, and all that. He will come with a sword, he will come with a knife, and then he will actually get into your house. And so even there, Shiva comes in, because there has to be distribution of wealth, so he will do it in his own way. So here, in this Anuvaka, we have to interpret as, it is Nishangine, it is sword, he is Ishudhimate, that means he has got a quiver of arrows. Only thing is, he uses it for protecting the devotee. So there he comes to actually rob, and here he is coming with all these weapons to protect his devotees. Because that is the dhvani, or that is the way in which the whole, this part of the Anuvaka is going on. So the fifth mantra is, Namaha Tikshne Shavecha Ayuthinecha. Tikshna means sharp. Ishu means arrow. So one who is having a keen and sharp arrows. Ayudhine, generic term, that means he has got all the weapons. So these are simple translations. Next one is very interesting. That takes a little more time to understand. So Namaha Swayudhaya cha Sudhanvane cha. Swayudha has got to be etymology, they broken up as Su Ayudhaya. And then Su Dhanvane. Su, whenever you prefix with Su, it means it is good. So one who has got very good and efficient Ayudha or weapons. So when does a weapon become Su Ayudha? Only when it is appropriately used. When you don't use a particular weapon in the proper manner, it is Ayudha. But when it is used in the proper manner, right place, towards the right target, it becomes Su Ayudhaya. So what exactly is this Su Ayudha that the scripture is referring to? It is actually referring to his Trishula. So Shiva's Trishula. So Shiva's Trishula, don't just take it on the face value saying, okay, he is holding a trident. There is much more behind the particular design of the weapon. So Shula in Sanskrit actually means a spear. So Trishula means there are 3 spears that are actually clubbed into one. So what is the role of this spear? What does a spear do? How do you use this spear in a war? It is to pierce through your enemy, isn't it? So he has got a 3-pronged Trishula. So what does he pierce through? The 3 pierceable entities are those that bring us hardship, also known as Tapatraya. Tapatraya are 3 in number. One is that which comes from the environment called Adi Bhautika, that which comes because of fate or because of unknown causes is called Adi Daivika, and that comes from within ourselves, sorrow, anger, confusion is all called Adhyatmika. I am not going to expand this too much because we have studied this many times earlier also. So enough to say that the Trishula is the one which pierces through the Tapatrayas. But we will look at another very profound darshana. Darshana means it is a school of philosophy. Among the various schools of philosophy, there is a beautiful Shiva philosophy called the Pratyabhijna Darshana. Pratyabhijna Darshana. Actually, the word Prati-abhijna means a doctrine of recognition. How do you recognize? What do you mean by recognition? The word cognition means to know something, to identify something. Mentally you cognize. What you have already cognized once, when you recall later on, for example, last week you saw me. So you cognized my presence last week. So this week you come, I don't need to be introduced to you once again. Isn't it? You already know. How did that happen? It is because you recognized me. So the Pratyabhijna Darshana talks about the doctrine of recognition. That is, finding, discovering, and cognizing that you are indeed Brahman. So what is the original cognition? Original cognition is that you are Brahman. Isn't it? Tat tvam asi. But the thing is, for some reason, we have forgotten that. So you have got to recognize. You have to recognize that. So this whole branch of philosophical thinking was given the name Kashmir Shaivism. It is actually called Pratyabhijna Darshana. It was given the name Kashmir Shaivism by a very great scholar by name Jagadish Chandra Chatterjee. He was the one who coined this English name for Pratyabhijna Darshana. One of the great proponents of this Darshana is, I have extremely high record for him. In fact, I have never called out his name without using the plural number. And that is Abhinava Gupta Acharya. Abhinava Gupta, equally eminent as Adi Shankara. So he is the one who actually systematized this Pratyabhijna Darshana. So there, the concept of Trishula is the one that cleanses three malas. Mala means impurity. Three impurities he removes. So the philosophy of Pratyabhijna Darshana goes like this. Number one, Atman is Shiva and he is independent. Important point to note. Shiva, when you say Shiva, or when you say that it's your own self, it is synonymous. So if Shiva is independent, that means you, the pure Atman, is also independent. Now, what is it we are studying in the Rudradhyaya? Shiva manifesting himself in myriad forms, isn't it? Shatarudra. He comes as a thief, he comes as a robber, he comes in the form of a river, he comes in the form of water, he comes with an anger, and he comes with peacefully. Why is he taking so many forms? If Shiva is taking so many forms, then I and you, the Atman, also have to take so many forms. Isn't it? Simple logic. How does it happen? Shiva actually contracts himself. Contraction. There is a contraction of the self. So I, who is actually the totally independent Atman, for some reason I make myself limited. Even though my natural state is unlimitedness, I make myself limited. How do I make myself limited? Out of free will. So Shiva, out of free will, even though he is omniscient, omnipotent and everything, limits himself and manifests as countless entities. The Pratyabhijna Darshana uses the word Anu or atom for the individual or individualized entities. So all of us that are here, different ages, different genders, different backgrounds, all of us are actually the Anus which Shiva himself has manifested. And therefore, these atoms, he uses the word Anu or atom, these atoms are called as Chid Anu. Chit means consciousness, awareness. Anu means individualized entity. So we are all Chidanus. Okay. So an independent Atman, by its own free will, divides itself into myriad Chidanus. That is the second iteration of what Shiva does. How does he do this? What is the process? The process by what power he divides himself like this? It is by his Maya Shakti. So the process by which this individualization happens is through Maya Shakti. So as soon at this point what happens? This independent Atman creates it for itself a sense of differentiation. This is my name, this is my gender, this is my prowess, this is my achievement, you are this, you are this, you are this. All those, I am a man, you are a woman, all these differentiations are created. Similarly, I also create differences between sentient beings and insentient matter. By what power? By Maya Shakti. How does it happen? By the free will of Shiva. Why does he do that? It is because he chooses it by free will. So therefore, what was the original power of Shiva? His original power of eternal existence, which is called Nityatvam, all-pervasiveness, which is called Sarvavyapakatvam, completeness called Paripurnatvam, omnipotence called Sarvashaktatvam are all limited. So what is the process of limiting that happens? Our limitations happen by means of surrounding ourselves with limiting factors. So in all limiting factors are called as kanchukas. Kanchuka means actually a garment that is worn on top. So these kanchukas are 5 in number. So with Maya Shakti, it becomes 5 kanchukas are known as limiting principles. First is the limitation on authority. That means omnipotence becomes limited Shakti. This is called Kala Tattva. Omniscience becomes Alpajnana. This is called Avidya Tattva. The natural quality of a Atman which is being detached develops attachment with objects. This is called Raga Tattva. Then the fourth one is infinite existence called Amrutatvam is divided into the 6 changes also known as Shadvikara, which we have talked about it. This Shadvikara by creating an illusion of time. This is called Kala Tattva. Time is illusory, isn't it? Just imagine that if sun and moon is not there, how do you segment time? And sun and moon is matter. And sun and moon is finite. So that is how we actually confused as though there is a progress of time. How does that happen? It is because we limit ourselves by this eternal existence is limited by a notion of time. Then finally, number 5 is called Niyati Tattva. We limit our free will by talking about fate, destiny, janma, mrityu, rebirth, all those things. So these are the 5 confusions that have happened as soon as by free will we decided ourselves to abrogate the intrinsic power of Nityatvam, Sarvavyapakatvam, Paripurnatvam and Sarvashakti. Now we come to the problem, central problem. The Panchakanchukas, what they do is, in turn, they introduce the 3 impurities, called 3 malas. One is called Anava Mala, Anu. We started with Anu, right? The adjectival form of Anu is Anava. The Anava Mala enters into the Karana Sharira or our causal body and creates vasanas. So what do these vasanas do? They close the gateway to go from the limited to the unlimited. And what is that gateway? The gateway is this Pancha Kanchuka or the 5 Kanchukas. So you got to open this gate. Until you open this gate, you will not see this shine of the sun. So the Arnava Mala, the only way that you can get rid of this and transcend and recognize that you are indeed mortal is only by the grace of Shiva. And therefore, prayer to Shiva is the only way to get rid of this Arnava Mala, as also evidenced in the Kaivalya Upanishad, where it is said, Uma Sahayam Parameshwaram Prabhum Trilochanam Neelakantham Prashantam Dhyatva Munirgacchati Bhutayonim Samasta Sakshim Tamasah Parastat. So once we are able to transcend that, then the other malas disappear. If we do not, then the second mala called Mayiya Mala, which resides in the Sukshma Sharira, especially in the Antakarana, Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara, it gives us a sense of duality. Whereas there is only one, it makes it dual. And because of that, the third impurity called Karma Mala manifests itself in its physical Stula Sharira. And when that happens, the limited power, illusion of individuality, the sense of agency, that is, I am the doer and I am the enjoyer, all these things will come. And therefore, with the body, we continue to do karma, which goes and sits in the Karana Sharira. And therefore, Shiva, by his prayer, Swayudhaya, with his Trishula, pierces through these three malas and shatters the door of Panchakanchuka, destroys the three knots, which is the Kama Granthi, which is Raga, and then Karma Granthi, which is the necessity for us to do anything, and then Avidya Granthi, which is the knot of ignorance. All of this is broken. And in Rudrashtaka, the Goswami Tulsidas beautifully puts it as Prachandam, Prakrishtam, Pragalbham, Paresham, Akhandam, Ajam, Bhanukoti, Prakasham. Trayashula, Nirmulanam, Shulapanim. That's the key word there. Trayashula. What is that Trayashula? The three Shulas. The three Shulas are Arnavamala, Mahayamala, and Karma Mala. Trayashula Nirmulanam Shulapanim Bhajeham Bhavani Patim Bhavam. So Tulsidas has epitomized this entire thesis into that beautiful prayer. So now that is about Swayudha. What is Sudhanva? Sudhanva, his Dhanus is called Pinaka. He is Pinaka Pani. There is a very beautiful poetic mantra. A quiz for you. Where have we learned this? Arhan Bibharshe Sayaka Nidhanva Arhan Nishkam Yajate Vishwarupam Arhan Nidandayase Vishwamabvam Ghosha Shanti. Good. Good. So this is part of the Ghosha Shanti mantra. Hey Rudra, Arhan Bibharshi Sayakani Dhanva. You are worthy of having this Pinaka bow and all the weapons. Somebody must be there who deserves to have the weapon, isn't it? What about who has the button controlling the nuclear arsenal? Only the President of the United States has got. Only that office deserves to have such deadly weapons, isn't it? So here we are saying that you are the one who is able to do that. You are the one who is decked with the ornament of the universe itself. Aharyam Chandrataradi Tam Numas Satvikam Shivam. And you are worthy of worship. There is no one as lustrous as you are with this Sudhanva, you protect the entire universe. So now let us look at the Rudra as Saguna Sakara Rupa and an Ajnani. In an ignorant person's hand, what is a sword? The sword is anger. For an ignorant person, what is the quiver? All the karmas that are left. What are the arrows? The 6 enemies, the Arishadvarga. That is the weapon an ignorant person has. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. 6 arrows are there in the Akshaya Tunira. Akshaya Tunira means an inexhaustible quiver. How many? Can you ever exhaust Kama, Krodha? So that is in the hands of the ignorant person. Whereas, what about Rudra's Ayudha? Rudra's Ayudha, his sword is knowledge. His quiver is intellect, buddhi. His arrows are his meditation and his sadhana chatushtaya. We can map to that. That's why Shiva is all the time doing tapas. Have you ever wondered why Shiva always does tapas? It is because he is honing and making all these weapons perfect. What weapons? The weapon of discrimination. That's why we have to keep doing meditation. Otherwise, all these weapons either will become blunt or it will be abused. We'll continue next week.